real loud, but I'll turn the guitar down. You get like so, and I'll turn it back up, and then I'll jump in. Oh, okay. If I'm muted, you can hear the drop of this one tighter. We have all the press here. There's all the press here. Welcome to the kickoff of the new JSX Joe Satriani Signature model. We're going to go ahead and let Joe kind of like tell you about the amplifier with his playing, and then after he's done, we'll start fielding some questions. Okay? So let's give Joe a warm.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you very much. Hey, if you'd, as you can tell, there's some air conditioning going here that's really nice, but it's really, miserable on the fingers. So I'm gonna just start playing a song. I just kind of meander through it. You guys can take pictures, make some mental notes of the guitar tones, and then I'll stop and answer some questions. We'll do it like that, okay? So the music's on a CD. I kind of forget how the song starts, so. That's how it starts. now my fingers are getting warmed up there. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a beautiful new head up here called the JSX. And it's got just about everything that I've ever wanted in an amplifier head. As you can tell, one of the things I did first was to play a song where I need a lot of sustain, but it's got to be really sweet. Amp's got to work with all the pickup arrangements on a guitar. It's got to work with a wah-wah. It can't be annoying. It's got to be big. I play a lot of melodies and a lot of solos in my gigs, so it's a requirement that the amp can really sing. It's got really rich harmonics. But why don't you guys ask some questions, maybe, and between me and James and Bill, we can answer your questions about what's in it. Anybody? Yes.
Are you using both amps? Are you coming out of a loop thing from one amp to the other?
Just one amp.
Yeah, you're just hearing the one amp right now, and that was the Ultra channel. It's just because I was starting out, so I figured I'd start at the top.
Got your delays and all that stuff in the loop of it, or you're in the front?
They're in the loop. Yeah, it's an all-tube amp, so all that gain is just coming from the front of the amp, so it would be like a train wreck to stick it there, Although if you're using like an analog delay and you have the setting down really low and you're into the middle channel there, it's pretty cool. You can get sort of like a Neil Young effect if that's what you're looking for,
All the gain was coming from the amp, not pedal.
That's right, yeah. It's sweet. It's just really sweet. That's James. He did it. That's what I was looking for, was a punch, articulation, but it had to be really comfortable because my guitar style is a cross between old style blues, just like whacking the strings, and then really super light fingering that you might associate with Alan Holdsworth or something like that. So I needed something that was going to allow me to play light and heavy at the same time, but it would still have, the amp wouldn't, let's say, close down and sound flat if I was picking really hard. And so by going all tube, I think that's how James accomplished that one. Yeah.
Joe, can you tell us how you came to work with Peavey on the development of this amplifier?
Yeah, it's a dream come true, I called information. I asked for the Peavey phone number. I really did this, I tell you. And I called the front office and I said, I'm Joe Satriani, I'm a guitar player. Is there an artist relations guy that I could talk to? And they hooked me up with Bill, and it turned out, I didn't know Bill actually worked with Peavey, but he was a student of mine many years ago. And so that's how we hooked up. So if you call the company, they will take your phone calls. So. You'd be surprised how hard it is to call a company and talk to somebody. Yes. Am I missing anybody? No other questions. I'll play some more. How about that? That I know how to do. So I'm looking at this CD and I'm saying, I don't want to play that. I don't want to play that. I'll play this. Thank you. I can't believe I ended that on time. Looking around for the drummer like, where is he? Woo, okay, any other questions?
Joe, what's your backline going to consist of now that we have the JSX amp?
Pretty much this. I like to play through one amp. I favor a mono system. And, well, I think most of the time we're just it's going through two cabinets. On the last G3 tour, when we took out all the JSX prototypes, we had two cabinets, two XXX cabinets with one had, I forget the name of, what's this 30-watt speaker called?
Sheffield
Okay, there you go, whatever he said there, Sheffield XXX, whatever. They're really nice, very sweet, very strong but vintage sounding speakers that replaced my Celestion vintage 30s. Because we used to go with some vintage 30s or 25s and some 75s because I could never decide what I liked best. So after talking with these guys, we sort of settled on the XXX cabinet to start. And it turned out when we got back in the studio to mix the live DVD and CD stuff from the G3 tour, that the Peavey 30-watt cabinet was actually the sweet cabinet after all. And it's just kind of hard when you're on stage to, night after night, different venues to really figure it out. So I think I've settled on that particular kind of a cabinet, and I'm pretty sure that that's the right speaker for what we're going to do. And I'll probably just ditch the 75-watt cabinet because it's sort of like harsh, but it doesn't really go as high as you want in a brilliant way. And then there might be a little bit too much low end, I think. So I think that's what we're doing. But I know we've talked about putting together a particular speaker bottom for this head. But for right now, I'm sort of digging on these speakers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to hear you play, Joe.
Okay. It's funny you should ask that. Okay, so with this clean channel, I had a funny request. I have some things that I play that are in fact really clean, but the other requirement I had was that it had to take a pedal really well. So what we have is a very clean sounding clean channel that doesn't break up at all, that allows you to play with all sorts of chords. It still sounds really chimey and beautiful, but not, sterile or soulless or something like that. So let me play a little piece that's pretty demanding for clarity, two-handed technique kind of stuff. And then I'll show you what happens when I plug in this full tone ultimate octave, which is great, which is where you see if a clean channel is really going to handle all sorts of boxes. Because I love little distortion boxes for all the sounds I get, but you need, the clean channel's got to be able to handle it. Can't send the stuff out too bright or just fall apart in the low end. So see if I can play this song for you now. It's very serious sounding, but feel free to sing along. Okay. All right. Sure. Okay. So I wanted to show you just this last thing about this thing. 'Cause this particular box is pretty nasty, and I've traveled around with it quite a bit. But this clean channel just like really loves these distortion boxes, which is really essential for me here. And of course, these things are a completely different technology than some of the other distortion boxes that I've used before. But to me, they send out such a strong signal that it was always the testing ground for the clean channel. I haven't got really a song to play with it, so I'll just kind of mess around for a couple of seconds. And then they want to sort of change the house over or something like that. The way the amp breaks up with that sound is just really cool. I use that a lot on the last tour, and it's a fantastic sound, you know. So anyway, that's the clean channel. Really clean, can handle all the strangest distortion boxes, and that's one of the things that I asked Peavey to do for me. So, okay, so questions before they shuffle you out or something like that. Yeah.
Were you using the prototype of this in the last tour?
Yeah, we started out with #1, and just about every week and a half or two, I got a new one. I think when we recorded the live stuff for G3, I was using #2, and I mean, we were like so close. I think we had a question about some mid-range and low-end levels that I think only perhaps me and James could tell anymore. And people are like, "What are you talking about?" Just so focused. And then by the time I got to New York, we had actually 3 shows left.
That's what I was going to say. How long did it last before you finally
Yeah,
got
I think
right?
it was about a 5.5-week tour, and that was really from prototype 1, and then I finally got the last one, #4 or 5.
4 was
#4, right? Yeah. And so #5 would have been in New York, 3 shows, and then that was it. little late to make the record, but.
Then you got Christmas present.
That's right. Then they did deliver. Christmas Eve
Really?
came this particular amp, and it was fantastic to see it cosmetically all together. You know, it's got so many other things that are important for me. It's got a variable noise gate right on the front, and you can turn that thing off if you just want the amp to run wide open like a normal amp. You can. It's just like a tone control. It goes from 0 to 10, and you can clamp that down. So if you're doing some recording where you're doing some pretty nasty chords with some silence and you wanted to clamp down, it just clamps right down. And having it right in the front is great because you can just reach on over and dial it for any song you want. We got some resonance and presence controls that are also on the front. Basically, I took everything that I want as a guitar player and I said, I am not reaching over in the back of my amp like this, trying to figure out where all my knobs are and everything. So everything has got to be on the front because that's what guitar players need. They need to do this, right? You know, figure out what's going on. And I wanted numbers and words to describe everything the way it really is. So, and that's what I got. That was my Christmas present, I guess.
Yeah. Is it kind of optimized for humbuckers, or is it with single coils it performs equally
The same
well?
way, yeah. Because it's an all-tube amp, it's just it takes in, you know, whatever you give it, and it does its thing, which is, you know, extremely important. It would, if it was a solid-state amp, I'd say I bet they do have to optimize it just like a solid-state pedal. Or anything with just little chips in it, it's going to work better with one or the other. But this is like all your favorite tube amps kind of all put into one, and I mean, in that way, that's great because I'm basically essentially pulling these things up and getting single coil sounds, you know, even within one song. So.